Hey everybody, and welcome back to Swift Lessons for another by request song tutorial. This is session 1 of 2, breaking down Sublime's 1996 classic Santeria. Now in this session, I'm going to be showing you how to play Brad's iconic guitar solo. I'm going to get started showing you the scale that he used to create the solo, then I'm going to break it down for you lick by lick. As always, I have a complete tab and chord sheet available for you at patreon.com/swiftlessons. Support the channel there for a library of extra resources. Now, let's get started with a full demonstration, then I'll break it down. Okay, close look at the fretboard, getting started learning some of the scales that Bradley was using throughout his guitar solo. The first one that I want you to know is the major pentatonic scale in G position. Now it's going to be in the key of E major. So that's going to be playing a G chord with your ring finger on the 12th fret of the low E string and then barring. So there's your G position of the E chord. Now we're going to build the scale around that shape. Alright, also utilizing the lower extension. So how do we play that scale? Well, it's going to be E string, 12th fret, 9-11 on the A string, 9-11 on the D string, 9-11 on the G, 9-12 on the B string, and 9-12 on the high E. Okay, so there it is, the E major pentatonic scale in G position. Now, a very common trick that lead guitar players will do is that instead of finding the low root note right here on the E string 12th fret, they'll instead find it over here on the 7th fret of the A string. And that's part of a little position that we call the lower extension. Okay, so if you're descending down the major pentatonic scale, when you get to the A string, 9th fret, you can go down another whole step to find the root note. And you can also apply those fret numbers to the low E string, 9th fret and 7th frets of the low E. Also on the A string. And then slide up into that G position, which is probably the most common position of the major pentatonic scale. Okay, now just a close look at the low end of the fretboard. In this solo, Bradley really showed off his knowledge of the fretboard, was able to find lots of different positions of the major pentatonic scale. So what I'm going to show you is kind of a hybrid between two different positions, the C position and also the D position. Okay, so same exact chord played in two different positions. Scale positions are surrounding those shapes. It's going to sound like this. Okay, breaking that down, we have 0, 2, 4 on the low E string. That's E, F sharp, G sharp. Then onto the A string, we're going to have 2nd fret, 4th fret, B, and C sharp. Then we're going to complete an octave by going to the 2nd fret of the D string, E. Getting up into the next octave. Starting from that E note on the 2nd fret of the D string, we'll go up a whole step to F sharp, and then slide up another whole step to G sharp. We'll find B on the 4th fret G string, go a whole step up to C sharp, and then we're going to find E on the 5th fret of the B string to complete another octave. So far you have. Alright, F sharp is another whole step up to the 7th fret B string, G sharp on the 4th fret high E, and then we're going to find B on the 7th fret of the high E string. Okay, putting all that together we have. Okay, play that dozens of times, really memorize it, because it's going to make learning the solo much, much easier. Okay, let's get started breaking down this solo. Measure number 1, played over the chord E major, is going to sound like this. Real slow. Okay, so we have the 7th fret of the A string, that's your E note, the root. Then we're going to slide from 9 up to 11. Then we're going to the D string, 9th fret, and hammering up a whole step. Then we're going to go to the 9th fret of the G string, that's another root note. Really, really common lick. Okay, then we're going to bend the G string, 11th fret, up a whole step. Then go back down to a regular note. And then finally go back to the E note on the 9th fret of the G string. Okay, now we're moving on to G sharp. Okay, so once again, so far you have. Now the G sharp chord comes in, we're going to play. Okay, so we went down to the 8th fret of the G string. Then we slid back a whole step. And then we're going to bend and return with the ring finger this time, 8th fret of the G string. Really, really sweet melody. Okay, now we're moving on to C sharp minor in the chord progression. Okay, now moving on to the C sharp minor chord. Here we're gonna have this really cool descending lick. It's gonna sound like this, nice and slow. And at full speed. Okay, so let's break that up into a couple of separate parts. Let's start off with. Okay, so G string, 6th fret, pull off down to 4, D string, 6th fret, and return to the 4th fret G string. Then we're going to bend the 4th fret of the D string and slide down to the 2nd fret after you've returned. Then we're going to play. Pull off from the 4th fret down to the 2nd fret D string, 4th fret of the A string, then back to the 2nd fret of the D string, then return back to the 4th fret C sharp. Alright, next the B major chord is coming in. Okay, great work everybody. You've just completed line number 1, following along using your tablature at patreon.com/swiftlessons. Let's play what we have so far, starting off with that E major chord. Okay, now the B major chord's gonna come in, and over top of it, we're gonna play. Really cool ascending line using some hammer-ons and slurs, and also some chromaticism. So, E string, 2, 3, 4. I'm not picking those notes, just the first one. Same thing on the A string. Then the D string is going to get 4, 5, 6. G string is going to get 4 and 6. And then the B string, 5. Okay, now the E major chord is going to come back in, and we're going to get into the main position of our major pentatonic scale. Okay, now as the E major chord comes back in, we're going to play this beautiful descending line in that G position of the major pentatonic scale. Sounds like this. Okay, and then after that, that very catchy lick over G sharp. that lick one more time a little faster. Okay, breaking that long descending line up into two different sections. The first is going to sound like this. Okay, very simple. B string 12th fret, bent up a whole step. It's kind of a slow bend. 9th fret of the high E string. Then descend, 12-9 on the B. G string 11, bending up and then returning. Pulling off down the 9. Then we're going to play the 11th fret of the D string. 9th fret G string to get to the root note. Okay, now the next lick is going to sound like this. You put the two licks together, it sounds like this. Okay, it's very important that you memorize first the way the licks sound before you start trying to learn them. Okay, so that lick is very, very simple. We just pull off 11 to 9 on the D string. Then go to that 11th fret of the A string. Then we're going to hammer 9 to 11 on the A before going to that 9th fret D string. Alright, then we're going to slide down, it's hardly even noticeable, to the 9th fret of the A string before going back to the root note E, 7th fret of the A string. That whole section over E major real slow, descending. One more time. Okay, then the G sharp is going to come back in. We're going to play. I slid from 9 up to 11 on the A string. Love this section. Then we're going to play the 10th fret of the D string, back to the A string, back to the D string. Okay, now why did he play that? Because he's playing G sharp, and that is a G sharp note. In fact, this is all part of a kind of G sharp major or G sharp 7 chord. Alright, so put all that together, we have alright, now we're ready for the final lick. It's going to sound like this. Over C sharp minor. Alright, very crunchy, very cool sounding lick. Very simple too. We are doing a double stop. The 11th frets of the G and B, bending them up. Okay, sorry my guitar has a little bit more grit on it than Bradley's had. And then we're going to play 9, 9, 9. E string, B string, G string. Repeat. Then the last one's just going to be a bend and a return to complete this iconic guitar solo. Okay, playing through the guitar solo at a very slow tempo, and I'm going to ask that you play along and practice. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... Alright everyone, thanks so much for checking out this lesson. I hope you enjoyed learning this iconic guitar solo. If you have a song that you would like for me to teach next, you can click through the link in the description to swifflessons.com and put in your requests today. Big thanks to my supporters at patreon.com/swifflessons. Hope you're enjoying the extra resources. Thank you for making these lessons possible. I got many more videos coming up, so keep checking back. Please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia saying happy picking.